Here we are. We're going perch fishing. Fresh off probation, who do we have?
B-team.
B-team Bob. He's actually working on the C-team now that he's been on probation a little bit. We're not even sure what for, but he asked too many questions, probably. But perch fishing is what we're doing today. We are gonna do a little kind of 101. Bob is the perch guy. He's gonna give us his little deep down secrets, and we're gonna see if we can catch up and stay along with him.
Guy here, I'd rather this look at that than this. But
so what do we got? That's a sheephead on the left?
Yeah, I'm thinking that's, but
you could probably catch that while I get some yellow bellies.
Yeah, so like here's a nice spot. The thing is that I want to be in the general area, but do I worry about sitting down right on top of them? Not really, because they move around so much that you know, a lot of times you're just waiting for them to come back to you, and especially now with forward facing sonar, you can actually see them come, you know, like a wolf pack come, you know, into your bait. So, you know, one of the things that there was a guy who was just like the perch master out here. He says you have to give these fish at least 30 to 40 minutes to come to you. So it's not like you're always chasing them. I very rarely will, you know, move, you know, small distances because they're moving so much more than you are. It's like you're trying to, you know, chase flies. So, like I like that right there. So I think that we're in the right spot. So we just got to get lines in the water and wait and see what happens.
Bob, chasing flies is like working with me. So one of the greatest inventions ever is spot lock. You know, Bob just said these fish moving around, you're jumping spots. Having to pull an anchor in the past, huge pain in the butt. Bob, you're not that strong anymore. You like spot lock, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think my anchor is just rusted in the back compartment because I never use it for anything anymore.
Too much of a pain, especially when it's a little rough bouncing around. At any rate, spot lock, your best friend.
All right, so I just when I get my minnows, I put them in this nice minnow bag here.
That's a Ziploc, Bob.
Yeah.
So you buy live minnows, but then you put them in a bag and kill them, Bob. Is that what I'm seeing?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense, but I'm listening.
These ones here, I will cut. The ones that are this big.
So you like to have a pair of shears in there?
Yes, I do. These bigger ones I'll cut, but the other ones we'll just use whole. And you're just going to thread them right through the head, and you're going to try and keep the hook in the body as much as you can. So you can get those.
So you kind of have like I do. You got some ice in the cooler there. You set them on top. This is how I do my worm.
Yeah, right. And I'll set the other one right here. We're going to go ahead and take these other minnows.
Now, explain what we got there. We did that, remember?
Yes. It was a fun day.
Yeah.
Lots of vodka was used that day.
Bob got a little sauced.
Yeah, well, so these are all frozen shiners in vodka.
We have a video they can go watch on that, right?
Absolutely. And we'll take and we'll cut these into 2 or 3 pieces depending on you know how big they are.
So that's our backup, or what you can do is the minnows that you don't use, you can vodka them and keep them.
I generally will, you know, not mess around with those ones, but what I will do is I will put those on one rod, put these on the other rod, just, you know, keep going back and forth, see what works. You know, some days these will do better, some days those will be better, but having both of them gives you options. All right, so with these smaller minnows, we're going to use these pin minnows. All I'm going to do is just run it right through their head, right through the body.
Keep them short strikers away.
Yep. Yeah, because these things are masters at stealing your bait in a heartbeat. So
I noticed you used to tie your own rigs. Now you've got some rigs you bought at Fish USA.
Yeah, these
a little fly on them there.
Yeah.
Explain what we got going on.
Yeah, this is just their 2-hook. It's a fishing addiction. Like I said, I used to tie my own, but started going to these flies. This is a 2-fly setup.
So even before that, we've got my main line, which is braid. I put a little fluoro on there just because.
Yeah.
We've got a little VMC snap swivel. We're going to attach that to their little swivel from the rig. And then it's basically like a crappie rig, but you got those flies on there, right?
Yep. I like to keep this fluorocarbon here anywhere from 15 to 17 pounds, just so when these things are going down with that braid, you want to make sure that there's, you know, that this is stiff enough that things don't get mixed up. And because when things are going down to the bottom, things are up and down, you want to have a little bit of stiffer line there so that you don't get caught up in your braid.
Well, the next thing is on the bottom there, either you tie your own or buy them. That's got a little snap on it so you can take that weight on and off so you don't tangle it up, or switch weights throughout the day.
And sometimes what you may see is that the bite is a little bit tighter to the bottom. There'll be times where I will adjust the length of this just to get this bottom bait closer to the bottom.
And I know some guys will even put a hook on that snap.
Yes, I've seen that where, you know, just a small, or they'll use a short snelled hook and put it on there.
Oh my gosh, look at this.
You making them chase it?
I mean, I got to do something. This is like Bob at prom. The girls aren't as interested as they should be. This thing is jumping around like a fart in a jug. Oh my. Look at that run up and then run down.
Yeah, now that you've got the Mega Live, you can actually see them, even because you've got such a span where they're, you know, what's below you plus what's moving in. Because a lot of times you'll see them actually move into you, and that's where, you know, you kind of be ready. And if you look at your 2D, you're not seeing anything. Now that looks like one of those looks like he's a little bit too big.
So what Bob was trying to tell us there, we were trying to get some lines down, is the Mega Live allows us, whether you like forward facing or not, to see a lot bigger area. So we've got the down mode in, but we're seeing 20 some feet out to each side. And I can see Bob, we can see the whole boat. And when he sees those big marks come in, generally there's gonna be sheephead or something that we don't want. And so he likes to just pull the rig up and try to get it away from him, because I can see it on the Mega Live right now. Bob has probably a sheephead on that he said he was gonna stay away from, but he was trying to be a tutorial guy. And then we ended up with, Bob, show him what you did. Just show him. I mean, you don't hide it, Bob. Oh yeah. I think I just lost him. Bob, a good old dead sticking. Bob, we finally broke the ice.
It's about time.
So, every day is a different day with this, right? Like, I mean, as far as some days you got to dead stick them, some days they kind of want it laid in the mud, some days you got to kind of bounce it around a little bit. Give me a couple of your favorite presentations.
I will usually just have one of my rods just sitting there just to see what happens with the bed rod.
Bob said one of his rods because
I'm a two-fisted guy here.
Bob's two-fisted.
There's times if it gets slow, I'll even throw a third rod out there, but
whoa, Bob.
Sometimes, just giving a little, because you got those flies on there, giving that little bit of a jiggle on there will get that fly action, from the way that the fly is on there. So it really varies. Sometimes, these fish are pretty finicky, so.
Bob, here we go. I'm not gonna lie to you, sometimes perch fishing is difficult. Self-filming with Bob, that is like it's Special Olympics level. And I don't even know what to tell you, but that's a pretty nice one. And so I just made a little switch. I don't know, it could have been just timing. Definitely one fish. We're not gonna start telling you what the deal is, but that was on my bottom hook on a little bit bigger vodka minnow, which we love those vodka minnows.
She's a fat one there.
Bob, this is, I told you were going down again. So one kind of little trend and thing that we've seen here, not that we've caught a million yet, we're kind of still in the figuring it out phase, but a vodka head on the bottom. So I don't know if there's a correlation or it's one or the other, but vodka head on the bottom so far. So when you're doing this, you know, you can use a hand counter or something, but depending where you're at, you may be allowed to catch 10 to 50 fish, depending where you're at on the Great Lakes. The catch counter here is a little thing that I mounted on a cooler. I got this top part from Fish USA. We've got the counter down there, the trap door. So boom, boom, we know how many we got in there. BT and Bob says, be at one with the law, be good. So these things have no conscience. You got to catch them, count them at the same time. Bob, so do you think they're just turning on, or what's going on? Because you went down another one, but now you're pulling back. Yeah. But this is still not fast and furious. When I think of perch fishing, we always say like perch fishing, meaning up and down, catching them a bunch.
It's not always that like that, but you know, now that we're starting to get some, you know, more activity, we just got to keep with it.
This could be just a grinder morning.
Yeah, I haven't so far this year. I've not run into a real, you know, up and down where you're done in an hour and a half or so. But you know, we've seen the fish. We know the fish are there. It's just
don't leave fish to find fish. This year the reports have not been good so far with perch fishing, generally speaking. Now some of our buddies, you know, they get on them one day and they land right on them and they're just biting for an hour or two. You know, it's kind of needle in a haystack, but when that happens, it's on. But most of the time it's not like that.
It hasn't been so far this year, and I don't know if there's always been a lot of bait around, but I mean, we've seen enough fish that, you know, if they were all biters, we'd have been done by now. But that's why they call it fishing.
Oh my God, did you really just use that? I'm done now. So Bob, we just made a little move here. I know you went and did a little bit of jumping around. You like to fish a lot of spots, kind of pre-fishing when you get in a perch groove, but are you looking for a little bit of stuff on the bottom, right, on our 2D? And we got the down imaging on the Humminbird as well?
Right. And I also like the fact that, you know, we've got some bait in the area.
He likes bait?
Yeah, so, but we've got a lot of stuff going on down on the bottom here, so I think this is where we're going to give it a shot.
Bob, big or small, I catch them all. But in all seriousness, this is on our bottom rig. So these fish are really kind of neutral right now. You know, we don't take 50 days to shoot you a perch video. We're just going to go out and it is what it is. So this was on the bottom hook. We'd seen a lot of these fish on the bottom and kind of sneak it off. So I just took a plain hook, just a VMC Aberdeen here, and hooked it onto my snap. So there's nothing on it, just with a little head. And that's what that last little one hit. Now, just because he was small doesn't mean anything, because the next one may be the donkey. So Bob, like that last little perch was kind of ding, 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 and I knew there wasn't a lot of weight there. It ended up being because the fish was tiny. But, you know, do you switch that up when you wait, or maybe just start to barely pull away to kind of feel it load up, or?
It really vary from day to day. You know, some days they'll just slam them, and, you know, even I can catch them every time.
Wow, that's pretty good action.
But a lot of times I'm, you know, just if I feel a little bit of weight on the line, I'll go ahead and, you know, set the hook. But not every day is like the last one, so you're just gonna have to feel it out every day. It's like just to have to get the feel for it.
I mean, I've seen you release dipsies, which shameless plug, go check out our Down East video with Travis. I ridiculed him. Bob, you haven't seen it yet probably to know, but I called him Bob because he was yeah, I know it was an insult for him too, and he was really ripping on. Oh, I was like, Jesus. Yeah, so it's kind of like you setting the perch hook. It's a little much, but. So that was on the bottom hook as well. So tell me what you see. You know, obviously these like perch style or whatever you want to call them rigs that go anywhere from almost on the bottom like that hook that I put to maybe 18 inches up. You know, when you're seeing most of the fish come on that first one off the bottom, that's 6 inches or so, or?
Well, yeah, and there's times where, you know, one of these are, when I buy these things, a lot of times, you know, during the day, I'll shorten this dropper up. So, you know, you talked about dropping that hook and putting it down on the snap. The other thing you can do, you know, is shorten the lead on this where the weight is. So again, that's going to make this bottom hook closer to the bottom.
Bob, what do we got going on here? That's a little better. Now, guess what? They went from the bottom to the top. So does that tell you anything as far as the bite getting a little better or cruising higher, or not really?
I think it really, I don't really go off of that. I just, you know, just the more action, the better, you know, because it's kind of contagious. You know, other fish see stuff going on, they want to join in the fun.
So is this one of those things where I notice you got 2 rods, and it's kind of like walleye jigging in that sometimes you're better off just dealing with one, but having couple down if you're not fishing with a bunch of people, because not a lot of people like fishing with you. So when you fish by yourself, that you can actually keep the fish underneath you, right? So that when they get that school kind of fired up, that they're not gonzo.
Yeah, it's a lot better. I think that, you know, the more objects you have in the water, you know, the more interest they're going to keep.
Here, take the camera, Bob. Oh boy, here we go, mega live. Oh boy. The Loomis was loaded up. Oh man, look at flipper, flipper, flipper. Now, Bob, that's a perch, Bob. Oh my. That was on the bottom one, so.
Well, there you go.
But in seriousness, you know, everybody, I always say, like, what color's the best? Now, I don't perch fish as much as you do, but I noticed you have about every color under the sun, so this is just like crankbaits, right? And that one day they want one day they want the other. Have you noticed if you have like a couple colors you could share that are must-haves?
Purple is definitely going to be my number one.
Really?
And my second one would be the chartreuse. And I think that's what, I got a chartreuse one that I might have a bite on in my,
Bob's claiming bite. He's two-fisted over here, and I'm trying to run the camera. We're going to let him try to do what he does. Oh, Bob, on cue, Bob. Bob's rarely on cue, but we are now.
Yeah, this guy might be a little too small.
Oh, dun, dun, dun. So, Bob, what do we got going on here with your 1910 rod? Bob, there's part of it right there. You're setting the hook a little aggressive. You broke a reel seat, Bob. It's that.
Well, we did it.
I mean, that's a nice sandwich, Bob, but it's a perch. You set it like you were releasing dipsies. You guys want to go watch a Bob set dipsies too hard or release them. Make sure you check out just about any video we've ever done with the dipsy diver. You got the jet ski mafia behind you all around over there. And Bob's just breaking equipment. That's why we don't let you touch anything. So Bob, we had a little interesting. I was eating a little beef stick here. And we had a bunch of fish following up because we got the Mega Live to show us that they're down there, which, you know, back in the day, when you don't know those fish are there, it's kind of tough. But what I did on that one was the fish were following me around, and I just dropped it past them on the bottom, and they went back down because they were a few feet up, and they smoked it pretty much right after it hit bottom, and I just kind of pulled up a little bit. So, like you said, I think this is like baseball. You got to have a lot of different pitches, because if you only know one thing, you're going to catch them not a lot. So the pattern kind of is there is no pattern, just paying attention. A little better fish though, right, Bob?
Yeah, and like I said, this is the third one that I've caught with doubling up those minnows on the bottom hook. So
what I'm gathering is you don't have any staples. You just know that you better try a bunch, and that's why the 2 rods, the multiple hooks.
Yeah, I mean,
different bait, different setups.
Yep. Sometimes you'll, doing a combo with a bait, the small minnow and the piece of the cut bait. So I never come out with necessarily one bait unless it's been a consistent bait.
Show us what the 2 minnow thing is, and show us how small those things are.
Well, that one's a little bit bigger, but these are about all you can get for shiners these days. Everybody, they've got goldens. I don't know what. I haven't checked some of the other baits, but then I'll put that one on.
Threading them on to keep them on, but also avoid short strike, right?
Yeah, I know this one's going to have a little bit longer tail because this is a little bit bigger, but no, on this one here I had another small minnow was on with this tail. So I'm going to try both of them this time just to see if I can get hit on them. Maybe I'll get something on the top one too. So the one thing we haven't seen yet today is double trouble. But it's time for doubles.
Bob, before the live sonar, it's kind of crazy to think, you didn't know when to move.
Nice one.
This one I gave a little more time to on him. This was Bob's double minnow. And we're going to say that's because Bob only bought us little tiny minnows. They must have been a little cheaper or something. But nevertheless, those little dead but not frozen were the deal there. What do we got going on, Bob? What do we got?
We got one with a double minnow on the top hook this time. So
top hook, bottom hook, but double minnow?
Double minnow.
Double minnow is the ticket so far. Now, if you're watching this, make sure you try other things than double minnows, because you weren't paying attention when Bob said I asked Bob his favorite thing, and he's like, he doesn't have one. He uses 900 different things. So, yeah. Bob, we're learning that the better ones like double. This was first drop 2 seconds with the double minnow chartreuser. Now again, we're telling you this just to kind of help you see how this pattern is developed today. It's going to be much different when you're out, kind of like where we should have the camera on the other side, but we don't, because we're just trying to kind of survive through this. I doubt you can see that, but little minnows. This was a hungry one. He ate a bunch of Bob minnows, which I like, because he likes burning my gas money, and I like eating through his bait as quickly as possible.
You had it?
Well, he did. I mean, he heard my drag. Look at all that.
Oh, you got a bunch of them.
So, here you go. Bob was like, I don't think they chase up sometimes. And well, I can tell you that they do. Bottom rig, 2 small minnows, 3 drops, 3 fish. And I had 3 fish kind of chasing up. And do you think there's sometimes this competition thing? I've seen this ice fishing where...
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, actually, I think that's what gets you, that up and down is because everybody wants to, they're jealous. They want to get in on the action. Bob
said that perch are jealous. I do know that they want 2 small minnows, and you can catch them about 10 feet off the bottom, at least right now.
Good guy going on with that one.
Bob, we have another good one. Because Bob, woo! Bob, we got a donkey as far as perch go. That's the leader of the day right there. He came up and gazonka donked it. We watched him on the Mega Live. So all you haters that say, well, whatever. You just can learn so much by that. I mean, we probably would have moved spots, or definitely wouldn't have caught a bunch of these fish that were high because of that. So again, our bottom rig with 2 small minnows is the producer. Don't just do that next time you go out, but remember that. That one, Mr. Bob. Wait, this one, hooked myself with a spare. You got to watch those other ones slinging on you there. It can get pretty bad, but just got one that came up and just kind of let it soak, even though I brought it up off the bottom. So we're teaching some old dogs new tricks. But Bob, we talked about sinker sizing. You quickly told me you can't fish on credit, meaning the bait. And then you what size sinker?
You can use any size, but as long as it's 1 ounce, it's fine by me.
Oh, and I noticed you have some color sinkers, which I normally avoid like the plague. I didn't know if you gave those to me in order to throw me off.
Well, you will notice that I'm using
unpainted.
No, I'm using painted ones also.
Do you paint those yourself?
I do not. I do not have the patience to do so.
Oh, Bob's saying that he's impatient.
That likes to, pour a bunch of lead and make all kinds of.
So we just learned that Bob has a friend, and that he is not patient. And the sinkers, as long as they're 1 ounce, you're fine.
Absolutely. I mean, there's been some times where we've been fishing in crazy, but we got a good bite over by and for 3/4. It was like trying to stay in the boat, but the fish were absolutely crashing. So that 1.5 made it a little bit easier to stay in the boat.
So don't go light, and I think part of that is you want to get back down on those fish quick, and you want to be semi-vertical, even if you're not watching, the sonar, so that you're seeing those bites, because they are ever so slight. I don't care if you're using a G-Loomis rod or not; they can just barely get on them. Bob says if I talk long enough, he will catch one.
Yeah.
Now.
That's a small one.
Oh. Bob, you were talking about efficiency, and oh boy, we got one on the bottom hook here, hooked on my weight through the snap. And kind of like when I'm fishing spinners, I'll have an extra rod or whatever we're catching ready to go, so we don't have to monkey around, or if that hook gets torn up or something. You kind of do the same thing with perch fishing, especially if you got the grandkids or whatever out there. Having bait ready to go, having an extra rod, having things set up, because when those fish are below you and biting, you got to take it's the windows. You got to take advantage of them, because at the end of the day, you may not be doing that much different than anybody else, but you took advantage of those windows and you weren't hung up or broke one off on a sheep bed.
Being fishing like the bite's going crazy, and you're like, oh, hang on, I have to take time out to cut bait up. That's not what you want to do. Sometimes you have to, because you want to, because you don't want to cut everything, because it stays better if it's not cut yet. But you kind of want to get the right amount of bait to start the day. So.
And that's because a lot of these minnows are just too big. So we've got some really small ones. That's what we're doubling up on. But a lot of these minnows, the big size, because you can kind of get what you get, or there's golden shiners depending on where you live. The sand shiners I see they're selling now, all kinds of stuff, or some of those ones that we carry over from ice fishing and we vodka them. Those are way too big. So Bob actually cuts a lot of those in 3 pieces. But efficiency is the key if you watch them for walleye stuff, and it is no different with perch fishing whatsoever. Just because people think of perch as being simple, and they can be. I got another one, Bob. You need to do things so that you can be efficient, because from the time we were talking to you, I got 2 perch. So we're going to give you kind of a breakdown here of the whole rig as a whole. A lot of differences on the rod. Not going to tell you which one to use. I've got a G-Loomis light action rod that's kind of like a light walleye jigging rod, a 1,000 size spinning reel. I've got 10-pound P-line and Durex on there, and then I go down to a little fluorocarbon leader, not necessarily for visibility, but more to keep it from getting tangled up. So we've got maybe a 6-foot section of that spliced in that goes to a little snap swivel. And the reason for this is P-line shouldn't say leader material. It's not going to get tangled up with the rig nearly as much. When you get that braid around there or get that close to the rig, it's a hot disaster of a mess. We've got the rig here itself, like we talked about, and watching that whole thing, you could see that we were using different fly rigs, and we got this one kind of looped up here with the deal on it. But a couple of these rigs, so they can stand out the same, we put a hook on the bottom here. Bob said weights can be anything as long as they're 1 ounce. So there's our perch rig. Lots of ways to do it. That's the way Bob likes to do it. He swiped at it. Oh, yes! Bob, I just go big, or we go home. Bob, we're about to go home. We're about to go home. That will make a nice sandwich. Bob, we're learning a few things today. We're learning that it's much easier to film trolling than it is when you have a rod in your hand, ice fishing with a dumpster fire. You're an amazing non-cameraman. So we have learned how not to do things. We've learned how to do a few things. We've got a little donkey here. My bottom rig with 2 small minnows was the deal today, but kind of like when I tell you trolling, don't necessarily go out there and do just that when you go out and head out, but keep an open mind. Look at that, you can even lip that thing like we was a smallmouth guy doing some Jimmy Houston stuff. But perch fishing is simple, You can make it as simple as you want, but there are things to pay attention to that are going to get you a whole lot more fish, and oftentimes they're little things, just like walleye fishing. So,
yeah, and I think putting it together is like, you know, some people, we didn't make, you know, if we just came out here and just kept the same old, you know, didn't change anything from when we started and weren't having much success, we would have been like, we're done with this. So, you know.
that's kind of how I feel when I fish with you most of the time. Bob gets very offended. He's all sad now. In all seriousness, hopefully you enjoyed this and learned a little bit more about perch fishing. Until the next episode, and I'm sure next time we'll be back to walleye fishing. If we're not, you're not paying for this, so who cares?